The BLUELOCK vs France game has officially come to an end with the ending of the latest chapter. And the game was absolutely insane, so I wanted to give you a way to easily enjoy it from start to finish. This video will contain all of the chapters from the Japan vs France game, starting from chapter 329 and ending with chapter 347. I wanted to include the full scope of the match, that's why I have that one prelude chapter. But I won't waste your time any longer, you know the deals for spoilers, so let's get into the full match of BLUELOCK versus France. The chapter begins with a wide shot of the BLUELOCK building where we see the starting lineup for both countries. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "Now, the U20 World Cup Group A third match, Japan versus France. The time for kickoff is fast approaching." The chapter is titled Chapter 330, Favorite to Win. For the formation, we see that BLUELOCK is sticking with their original formation from the Nigeria game, with Gagamaru in goal, Nico, Aiku, and Aru as our center backs, Hiyori and Shigiri as our fullbacks, with Karasu as our defensive midfielder. Ryo and Bachira are the offensive midfielders, and Rin and Isagi are our strikers. As for France's formation, we have France playing a 4-5-1 formation similar to the BLUELOCK 11 formation against the Japan U20 team so long ago, with Loki being a solo striker, Charles being the offensive midfielder, and Ugo revealed to be a center midfielder as well. The announcers begin to speak. It's time for round 3 of the U20 World Cup's Group A. It's almost time for the kickoff between Japan and France. We see the announcers in their box as they begin to have a dialogue about the teams. Natsuki-san, what kind of team is U20 France? To put it simply, they're the favorite to win. Their national team is the reigning World Cup champion, and the U20 team led by Loki are called the Golden Generation, who'll secure France's future for the next 10 years. We see the crowd on Japan's side of the stadium roaring with celebration and excitement. The announcers continue. I see. And challenging that mighty team is Japan. We get shots of Japan's side of the stadium as they are roaring in celebration, and we also see that they made a flag of Isagi and his celebration in the PXG game. The announcer continues. BLUELOCK's members have caused an absolute sensation, and they dominated Nigeria 4-0 in round 1. Finally, Yoichi Isagi is fast becoming a symbol of this generation. Right now, the soccer team with the most attention is BLUELOCK Japan, the neo-egoist team. At the bottom of the page though, we see the players begin to walk out onto the pitch. Today, they're sporting their fresh white alternative uniforms as they collide with the world's rulers. We see Isagi, Aiku, and Shigiri walk out onto the pitch sporting the white away kits for BLUELOCK, as Loki, Ugo, and Charles walk beside them. Ugo is also revealed to be wearing the number 9. Isagi and Loki speak to each other. We meet again, egoist. Sup, Wonderkind. We get an interaction of Charles and Bachira, along with Charles and Rin. Huh? Shido isn't starting today either? Yep, he's on the bench. It's the same lineup as the Nigeria game. Charles smirks, doing an okay sign by his forehead. Really? Guess we're gonna wipe the floor with ya. Which pisses off Bachira. Rin then butts in. Keep running your mouth, contrarian, and get ready for a broken nose. Charles then wiggles his nose. Same to you, beastie. Isagi thinks to himself as Loki begins to jump to warm up. Whoever wins this will get as close as possible to the finals. Convert this pressure into defiance. As Loki taps the ball to his right, the announcer says, the match between the highly anticipated teams in the group league, Japan versus France, kicks off. We get an overview shot of the stadium as we get little panels of each of the players on the France team as we see that Ugo has picked up the ball to start the game. Okay, ready, zoom. As Ugo says this, the France team begins to rush down the pitch with Loki tapping into Godspeed and each of the France midfielders rushing with him. This shocks Karasu, Isagi, and Bachira. Huh? What? The hell? They're all sprinting into enemy territory? Loki is stone-faced as Charles smirks, as Ugo says, nice. Ugo then begins to dribble down the field, breaking past Isagi with ease. At the same time, Rin comes in to try and take the ball, as he holds off Rin with a single hand. Rin gets pissed off as Isagi thinks to himself, he dribbled right past me and Rin? Damn, don't let him pass. Hiyori thinks to himself, viewing over the entire field. Right, I know that, but there are too many danger spots to protect. This is utterly impossible. Ugo then fires across down the field towards Loki, surprising Isagi as he can barely catch up. Beep, beep, beep. Focus. He's passing right up the field? The pass heads directly towards Loki. As the pass reaches him, the three center backs all rush in, as Aiku, Nico, and Aryu comment, "It's for you, right, Wonderkind? Anyone else is just bait. It's clear as day. Won't let you style through." Despite this, Loki smiles. "Too bad. Come on, contrarian." All of a sudden, Charles appears and snatches the pass from Loki. Haha, sneaking in. Aiku is shocked by this. What? Loki rushed in to lure our attention while he crossed behind? That pinpoint pass turned into a nasty, unexpected. We see Nico go to press Charles as he revs up for a shot. Gremlin shot. Charles then fires a shot as we get a reveal of his imp aura manifestation. This shocks everyone, as Isagi comments on this. That teamwork is unreal. Their very first attack transcended our thinking and BLUELOCK's entire system. Kagamaru dives towards the corner of the net as the ball flies towards it. On the final page of the chapter though, we see the ball fly into the net as Charles has scored the opening goal of the game. Isagi finishes his dialogue. "This is France, the favorite to win." Loki, Charles, and Ugo comment on the goal. "Nice shot. Gotcha. Yep, it's destiny." The closing tagline to the chapter says, "An opening volley to spark the match. What unknown strength awaits BLUELOCK as they take on the best in the world?" The chapter begins with the ball flying into the net as the stadium roars in celebration. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "The final stage begins. The one who seized control of the game and scored the decisive goal was..." The chapter is titled Chapter 331, Logic. Before the chapter actually begins, we get an apology from Nomura about the sketches for this chapter and the unfinished product we had, and he just essentially asked us to keep reading BLUELOCK and keep enjoying it, and he just apologizes for the inconvenience. The announcer comments on the play as we see Ego sitting there in silence. A declaration of war, a rapid fire attack, a one-shot kill, a magnificent showing from France with their very first play. Charles Chevalier has seized the initiative. We see Charles jumping on Ugo's back as Loki is holding up a 1 with his hand as the stadium roars in excitement around them as the score of 0-1 in France's favor is shown on the panel. We get thoughts from Aiku, Nico, and Aryu on the situation. Damn, France is insane. We totally fell for their ploy. That pattern wasn't in our data. Karasu jumps in. That speed, the cross run, that shot quality. We get a shot of Karasu replaying all of France's actions during the previous chapter. You can explain it logically, but that goal wouldn't have been possible without incredible skill and talent. This is the absurd might of our generation's top team, Loki's French team, the favorite to win. We see Loki standing there aura farming as Charles and Ugo are goofing off behind him. However, someone claps their hands to get BLUELOCK back on track. It's revealed to be Reo, who speaks to the team. Let's chill. They made an experimental surprise attack, and there were aspects we couldn't respond to. What France really wants is to rattle us and throw us off our game. So cool down your brains, let's not lose our heads. Aiku fist bumps Reo. Right, nice mental management, brain boss Mikage. You got it. Bachira and Kagamaru agree. Thank you for the mental medicine. Totes. Isagi then walks over, agreeing with Reo. He's right, guys. This just started. We have plans for when we're a point behind. Just focus on playing soccer our way. We get comments from Hiyori, Chigiri, and Bachira. Okay, egoist. Yeah, we have Isagi. Just getting started. Isagi then chimes in again. Good. Don't panic, BLUELOCK. Don't panic, Yoichi Isagi. Isagi taps the ball to Rin as the restart happens. Keep giving your best to secure victory. The commentators add some dialogue. Will Japan make a counterattack? Yoichi Isagi and Rin Itoshi are passing back and forth and charging right up the middle. We see that Rin and Isagi are exchanging one-touch passes back and forth, delivering a seamless breakthrough France's midfield, even breaking past Loki. However, Charles comes over to press Rin. I saw that in your first match. You two make your way up and then make it so either of you could be the finisher, right? Another France player, revealed to be named Bats, comes over to assist Charles in a pincer attack. But Rin was expecting this. Box him in. We've already worked around this. He then sends a pass out to the wing, shocking Charles. Huh? On the right side, it's revealed that Chigiri is racing down the pitch and immediately sends a no decel cross towards the middle. Charles and Chigiri comment, "Watch out for the speedster. We can go fast too. Direct cross." It appears that Reo is on the receiving end of the pass. Good tempo, princess. Nice groove. Reo then jumps high into the air, being pressured by 3 players in the process. "Don't let him shoot, Hermes," Gabon yells. A 4th player begins to rush in, revealed to be named Hermes, who attempts to stop Reo. As expected. However, Reo begins to transform with his copy technique. Begin, copy. Model, I gotcha. Rensuke Kunigami. Reo has copied Kunigami's Aero Dominance headbutt from the PXG game, hitting the ball with a headbutt, surprising Gabon. What? He's setting up a shot instead of shooting? The ball lands towards Isagi, who is using his metavision towards the box. Nice groove, Reo. All of a sudden, Ugo appears and matches up against Isagi as the ball continues to fly towards him. You've got a good team, BLUELOCK. However, Yoichi Isagi. Ugo then begins to analyze Isagi's shooting weapon. Your 2-gun thing only works when you're squaring off with an opponent and can feint in either direction, making your shot unpredictable. But if one were to charge you and close that gap, your movements can be totally nullified. Isagi is then forced to trap the ball with his chest as Ugo stares at him. Your weapon can be crushed by logic. Isagi begins to panic. This guy ran a simulation using my movements as data? Ugo continues, pressing Isagi. Yep, and that backwards volley you did against the Nigeria team can also be nullified through physical contact. As Ugo presses Isagi, Rin and Karasu rush over for support. Isagi, pass, over here. Isagi thanks them for their help. However, they soon get marked by opposing France players. Ugo then begins to drill into Isagi's psyche. If we block your helpers, you have nowhere to pass to. If we crush you, BLUELOCK is dead in the water. This shakes Isagi's resolve. Or so you might think, because Isagi spins around, keeping Ugo from stealing the ball. Shut it, you logical asshole. I've made it this far by devouring arrogant creeps like you. I'm gonna risk it all to be number 1. Ugo snarks back. But you're more suitable to be number 2. This confuses Isagi. Huh? On the final page of the chapter, Ugo steals the ball away from Isagi. Say, do you believe in destiny? The closing tagline to the chapter says, a new prodigy from the new generation blocks the way. That thing called logic is what shackles his ego. The chapter begins where the last one left off, with Ugo beginning France's counterattack after stealing the ball from Isagi. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Ugo is the one who stands before BLUELOCK. What will Japan do against him? The chapter is titled Chapter 332, Suitable Destiny Theory. As Ugo rushes down the field, he speaks to Isagi as they spark up a dialogue. Say, do you believe in destiny? I'll enlighten you. There's nothing fantastical or spiritual about the logic of destiny. Ugo then whips across down the field, passing Rin in the process. The announcer freaks out as the ball headed towards a France player and Karasu who are tussling for dominance. Just look at that. France's Ugo has blasted it right to the front line. It's a counter pass. Karasu reacts to the France play. Damn, it's going right to Loki. However, someone intervenes. This is the spot, right, Wonderkind? Nico has appeared, using metavision to intercept the pass to Loki. When it was stolen from Isagi, this was the most dangerous spot. Loki is surprised. Well. Isagi is shocked as well. Nice, Nico. Even Ugo comments. Huh, not bad. Nico then sends a long ball up the field, which flies over Charles and Reo as he begins to monologue. Just need to clear it. When an opponent has a way to keep Isagi from shooting, BLUELOCK can change attack patterns. When our calculated team design has been seen through, we'll sting them with unpredictable solo skills. The ball lands at Bachata's feet as he immediately dribbles around a France player. Pierce their defense. Hornet, on it. Another France player rushes in to stop Bachata. There you are, number 8. Just try me, little Zephyr. Time to sting.
Bachara accelerates, blasting past the France player, but he immediately catches up to him. He matched my dribble tempo and altered his pace to follow. This is clearly a guy who studied my style so he could cover me specifically. Bachara then tries using Jenga to shift his axis and make his dribbling more fluid, but it is of no use. The France player responds, "Too predictable, little Zephyr." Bachara smiles. "Shut up already, you windbag." In that case, we see someone sprinting down the opposite wing. Bachara then passes to Chigiri, who attempts to break down the pitch on the right side instead. "You're up, Chigirin." "On it." "Alright, I'll use my speed to break through." All of a sudden, another France player appears to stop Chigiri. "You sure?" The player crashes into Chigiri as they spark up a dialogue. "Ain't gonna happen. No way. No freaking way." Chigiri is shocked. "What? How is he so fast?" The player, revealed to be named Layden, speaks to Chigiri. "Mind if I join ya?" Isagi then begins to view over the entire field, with a security camera manifesting above the pitch in a similar way to Isagi's Metavision eye. He's fast enough to cover Chigiri during a solo sprint? The same thing happened to me and Bachara. All the tricks up our sleeves have been logically predicted and dealt with by France. In every aspect, they've got the upper hand. Isagi begins to panic. However, soon after, Ugo comes over, taps Isagi on the back, and begins to speak to him. Destiny comes down to your suitability. Physique, personality, talent, these things determine your basic abilities the moment you're born into this world. In other words, from the moment they're born, people aren't equal. Their dialogue continues as we see Reo, Bachara, and Chigiri all struggle with their respective opponents. But each being has a suitable way of life. Horses can run fast, birds can fly, creatures just need to live in accordance with nature. Only humans are unnatural. We have chibi diagrams appear as we see 3 different groups of Blue Lock style characters. They chase after unattainable dreams, inflate their egos far past reality, and create pointless conflict and despair. Someone without aptitude can never defeat someone who has it. That doesn't mean don't dream, it means don't dream beyond yourself. Isagi is shocked by Ugo's words, as Ugo appears as calm as can be. We continue with the chibi diagrams as we see one of a lion and the savannah, as Ugo holds Isagi back with his physical strength. If you saw a lion trying to fly, anyone would think it was foolish. It's better to just live naturally. If everyone were to live in accordance with their suitability, the whole world would be happier and more efficient. It just means to follow your destiny at the cellular level. This is my philosophy. Ugo then stares Isagi down. Suitable destiny theory. However, Isagi's metavision flares in opposition. Yeah? So what? Isagi then breaks away from Ugo as he responds to his criticism, as Chigiri manages to pass the ball despite his mark. You say I don't have the talent to be a striker? That my specs make me more suited to be a midfielder? All of that is painfully obvious to me. Ugo is shocked. Then why do you persist living so unsuitably? Isagi then receives the ball and does a one-touch pass while being marked by Ugo. Because Blue Lock has taught me that you can rewrite destiny with your ego. As the ball heads over to another player, they have something to say. Leave it to me. On the final page of the chapter, the ball lands at Rain's feet, who decides to start Blue Lock's counter towards the goal. I'm gonna obliterate them and their destiny. However, Loki appears, challenging Rain to a matchup. Destiny isn't something so easily changed. Like I care, dumbass. The closing tagline to the chapter says, Fate won't be shattered on words alone. The God Sprinter vs. Destroyer face-off. The chapter begins with the matchup between Rain and Loki as it is about to begin as France readies their defense. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Finally, they clash head-on. The Japan vs. France number 10 showdown. Don't miss this moment of ego. The chapter is titled Chapter 333, Natural Born. As Loki prepares to rush Rain, he immediately thinks ahead, hitting Loki with Sai's iconic cross-elastico nutmeg technique. However, Loki isn't beaten so easily as he immediately spins and activates Godspeed, rushing towards Rain. As Loki catches up to him, he's determined not to end their little matchup. Loki tries to extend his arm, however Rain swats it away, creating this wind flare across the ground. Loki, Gabon, and France's keeper stay ready as Rain grows impatient. He launches himself directly into the air, preparing to swing, as Loki begins to rush in, pressing him directly. Rain then crashes into Loki, swinging his leg into the ball, sending it flying towards the net. All of a sudden, however, Ugo appears, intercepting Rain's shot as calm as can be. The ball flies over the goal, out of bounds, as the announcers begin the dialogue for this chapter. Ah, so close! Ugo's incredible block protected France's goal. The stadium roars in awe as Isagi simply stares in silence. He begins to think to himself, reflecting not just on that play, but also France's strategy for them. Is he for real? Did they predict that shot too? They knew Rain likes to shoot while colliding with defenders, so Loki restricted his shot course and Ugo blocked it. No, it's not just that. All the tactics we prepared, plus the quirks of our individual skills, and even the ways of our thinking have been logically analyzed. We get a view of the entire France team, minus Ugo, as Isagi continues his internal dialogue. They have the right guys in the right place and are performing at 100%. It's a team of ultimate suitability. Is there any way for us to beat France? Ugo interjects Isagi's thinking, sparking up a continued dialogue from last chapter. You Blue Lock guys are good. Taking the diligent and clever group dynamics of Japanese soccer and mixing in the individualistic philosophy of everyone striving to be the world's best striker produces a hybrid team with the best of both attributes. Your coach must be an exceptional man to have pulled off this experiment, but its effectiveness ends here. Talent, 66%. Environment, 33%. Ugo holds up his hand, however. Luck, 1%. I believe these are the percentages of the components needed for victory. But as for Blue Lock, this team has been scraping by on the 1% luck that you pull in, Yoichi Isagi. Ugo reflects on Isagi's goals, being the luck goal from the Japan U20 match and the new Egoist League Demon King goal from the PXG game. Therefore, preventing that luck from occurring is the optimal way to crush Blue Lock. Isagi gets pissed off. Just try it, you arrogant bastard. See? That irritated yapping proves that I hit the mark. Isagi is left starstruck. And as for this serious case of Yoichi Isagi dependency, Ugo continues as we see Isagi is now at the center of the Blue Lock logo as chains extend from it. Right now, this team continues to grow by means of your boundless imagination. Paradoxically, this means you can't be allowed to stop thinking or evolving. The moment you stop growing, your team will collapse. That pressure is causing you anxiety, making your plays easy to predict and crush. Ugo continues as Isagi reflects on the moments before the France game and is internally distraught. Actually, the instant you felt any pressure in this scenario proved you're unsuitable to be number one. If you were suitable, wouldn't you be overjoyed right now to be the center of the world's attention? Ugo then points over at Loki as he continues. Loki, on the other hand, is a perfect fit. He was born with the best physical abilities in the world and lacks the slightest doubt that he can become the world's best striker. His body and mind are utterly suitable to make him the natural-born number one. We see Loki as these Godspeed particles shine off of him. Ugo then holds up a number 2 with his hands. I'll help him along and get him to where he couldn't go on his own. I want to be the world's second best. Isagi is confused. Huh? You get it, right? Yoichi Isagi? It doesn't mean you're in second place. It means you can have a bird's eye view as you control your organization from the second highest spot. You understand the number one most of all, and you're basically equals. Ugo then begins to clench his fist as he gives an offer to Isagi. Follow this path, Yoichi Isagi. If you embrace your destiny as second best, Blue Lock can get even stronger. As Isagi appears frozen in the face of this offer, Ugo gives him a warning. However, if you continue to strive to be the world's best striker, Blue Lock will be annihilated here. On the final page of the chapter, we see France and Japan preparing for a corner kick as we see that Bachara is the kicker. Rain is marking Loki as Isagi is pissed, with Karasu just killing for the vibes. The closing tagline to the chapter says, "A declaration of destruction to Blue Lock Japan. How will they oppose the aptitude fatalist?" The chapter begins with Bachara rushing up for a corner kick as Isagi and Ugo have their dialogue from the last chapter. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "Japan is down by 1 goal. Even with the enemy's declaration looming, they press towards the French goal to carve out their status as number 1. The chapter is titled Chapter 334, Time to Wake Up. As Bachara rushes in, Ugo speaks to Isagi. If you keep striving to be the world's best striker, Blue Lock will be annihilated here. Bachira begins to swing his leg as Isagi using Metavision begins to read the field as we see Audio in the box matching up with a France player and Rain marking Loki. Isagi then begins to think to himself, shut up. If you think you can outwit us, then go ahead and try it. Bachira then taps the ball to the side, faking out a pass to the middle. This shocks both Charles and France's goalkeeper named Renoir as Ugo watches calmly. Huh? A side pass? That's not a simple cross. It's a short corner. Yori picks up the ball as Bachira rushes behind him. Run the signal play. Renoir screams as we see Rin continue to hold Loki while Isagi rushes around Hermes. They're up to something. We get an overview of the box from above as Renoir screams again. Cover your marks. Loki then doesn't listen and doesn't cover his mark and begins to rush Hiyori with Godspeed as Hiyori readies his leg. Too late. Hiyori then uses a feint to bait Loki before sending a pass to Bachira who's behind him. Totes. Renoir freaks out again. Bachira again? He's right by the line. Bachira rushes Renoir as it turns into a close-up 1v1 matchup. But I won't let you make a close-up shot. However, Bachira smiles. This is when I do something cool. Bachira then does a chip shot away from the goal, shocking Renoir and another defender. Huh? A pass away from the goal? The ball heads towards Reo, who rushes into the goal box. Nice Bachi. I'm wide open. However, Ugo appears and matches up against Reo. Are you? No shooting for you, copy machine. Reo appears startled and then smiles. Shooting? Because Reo lets the ball fly past him as Isagi rushes in to take the shot in his place. That's not the plan. Renoir is freaking out. He ignored it. Isagi then begins to speak to Ugo. Weren't you gonna crush me with logic, you second best bastard? This is mine. However, as Isagi rushes in, Charles comes over and collides with him as they spark up a small dialogue. Not yet. The contrarian's here. Whenever Blue Lock uses a pattern we don't know, we keep a close watch on the most annoying spot, aka where Yoichi Isagi is. That's my job. Isagi begins to think to himself. No way. They ruined our first signal play? All of a sudden, Rain appears to provide assistance. Pass it. Isagi. Over here, come on. Isagi then reflects on what Ugo said, as we see his ego explode and the puzzle pieces emerge. If you embrace your destiny as second best, Blue Lock can get even stronger. Shut up. I'm gonna live as number one. Despite being pressured by Charles, Isagi takes a shot with his left foot. Rain is pissed. Karasu watches calmly as Bachira comments. Go. The shot flies down the pitch, passing Bats and Audio who's marking Gabon. However, Renoir flies in, catching Isagi's shot. This is the only place it could have gone. This shocks the stadium as the announcer comments. He stopped it. Isagi is shocked as Ugo begins to speak to him. See? Without your two-gun volley or your direct shot, you're a below-average striker. At this rate, Blue Lock will lose because of you. It's time to wake up, Yoichi Isagi. You can change. Know your place and obey your destiny. Ugo and Loki begin to restart the play as Ugo extends a hand to Isagi. Isagi is startled as Bachira and Hiyori begin to panic. For real? Damn. What are we gonna do? Rin scoffs as Ego thinks to himself. We can't use Yoichi Isagi. On the final page of the chapter, we see Karasu looming over the pitch as he taps into flow and his aura flares. Suitability, destiny, the world's second best. The closing tagline to the chapter says, amidst the unprecedented crisis where all seems lost, shockwaves spread across Japan, startling everyone, except for Karasu Tabito. The chapter begins with France preparing their counter as Japan is unready to defend. The opening tagline says, Isagi's shot is blocked, and mercilessly, possession shifts to France. The attack heads towards the rebellious prodigy, Julien Loki. Aiku, Audio, and Ryo all comment on the current situation. He's making a long throw. Move back, Blue Lock. This is bad. Watch out for Loki. As this happens, Loki begins to run. As the ball is thrown from the keeper, Loki rushes down the pitch, using Godspeed to break past everyone as Rain attempts to catch up to him. The chapter is titled Chapter 335, Transformation. We cut away from the game to see Henri and Ego, who are freaking out over the current situation. Henri speaks to Ego. Ego, they keep anticipating our tactics. Nothing's working. Do you have a plan? Should we swap out players? But Ego sits in silence. Loki traps the ball and begins his attack. Loki activates Godspeed again and rushes past Hiyori and Isagi. However, Chigiri manages to catch up to him as they begin to duke it out in a contest of speed. Wait up, speed freak. I won't let you run free. Both players begin to break down the pitch as they are going sprint for sprint, but Chigiri cannot manage to get ahead of Loki. He's not just fast, he's pushing through me. He's gonna get past. All of a sudden, Karasu appears and steals the ball away from Loki, shocking him. Karasu and Chigiri complement each other on their play, as Karasu moves to kickstart Japan's own counterattack. Nice, Karasu! Likewise, Princess. Karasu begins to internally monologue as we get an overview of the pitch. Thanks to Chigiri racing him, I parse Loki's dribbling rhythm and manage to cut in just before him. But now, what do? I should assume we can't rely on Isagi anymore. Charles chimes in. Yeah. Come on. Ugo looks at Karasu as he continues. At this rate, they'll just keep reading and slowly crushing us. Karasu then begins to rush down the field, the crow aura erupting as he prepares to advance BLUELOCK's play. I've gotta do something. Isagi begins to reflect on Ugo's words and thinks to himself. Know your place. Obey your destiny. Damn it. My abilities aren't effective. Isagi reflects on Ugo and continues to internally monologue, while Karasu matches up against Bats. Live as second best? If I stop worrying about scoring my own goals and focus on helping the team win, we could probably evolve. That might be the best way for us to defeat France, the king of the soccer world. But that wouldn't be BLUELOCK. Isagi shakes off his mark and opens himself up to a pass from Karasu. Over here, Karasu. I'll make it happen. He thinks to himself. I'm gonna be the world's best striker. That ego will never waver. We cut to Karasu's perspective while being pressured by Bats. Dumbass. Acting on a whim ain't gonna work against this team. If we keep relying on you, Isagi, BLUELOCK is gonna die right here. Think of something. We gotta change. Isagi begins to run behind Charles as Karasu taps into flow. For BLUELOCK's sake, I'll change and become second best. Karasu then taps into his true flow state as his eyes darken and the flow eyes glow, where we see these crow wings appear from behind him and his hands turn into crow talons as feathers erupt across his neck. Karasu then dribbles around Bats using Isagi's positioning as bait. Ugo and Isagi are shocked. Oh? Karasu? He used me as bait to dribble past. Is he planning to go score on his own? We didn't practice a pattern like that. What is he thinking? Isagi then runs alongside Karasu, confused on what he's trying to accomplish, as Charles notices something weird about him. What? Your vibe changed, Karasu. Renoir screams. Watch out for the shot. Here it comes. Karasu, using his metavision, begins to dribble down the field. Ain't gonna shoot, moron. We see crow feathers fall as Karasu views over the entire field with metavision. I've gotta stop thinking of myself as a striker. Erase all needless info. I'll use myself as second best and devise a new plan. I'm gonna make us win. I'm in control. Karasu taps back into his flow state. He looks at possible playmakers, seeing Bachara, Chigiri, and Rin, who is currently being marked by Ugo. Not there. There's no good either. No, you dunce. Throw out all of our current plans. Right now, the one most suitable for a goal is... Karasu extends his hand, which looks like a crow talon again. An extraordinary striker! Karasu then sends a pass while holding off Bats down the pitch, flying past Bachara and Rin, which shocks everyone. I need ya. On the final page of the chapter, we see that the ball has gone to Hiyori on the other side of the pitch. Karasu and Hiyori talk to each other. Let's go, major sadist. Roger that, frenemy. The closing tagline to the chapter says, Hiyori appears from the darkness, entering a new stage. Two unexpected players open a breakthrough. The chapter begins with Hiyori picking up the ball on the left side as the announcer screams at the revelation. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Karasu and Hiyori run through the battlefield. A new light shines upon a dysfunctional Japan.
The chapter is titled Chapter 336, Crow and Ice. The announcer says, he sent it over to the left side. The ball goes to Yo Hiyori. Hiyori begins to speak, activating his metavision. I was thinking the same thing, Karasu. The attack patterns that start with Isagi are dead in the water. Hiyori begins to dribble as we get an overview of the field as we see each of the France players rushing back to handle Japan. Hiyori continues to speak as Karasu looks over at him. So somebody's gotta create a new one. Right now, we're the only ones that can. Renoir screams, he's free, somebody cover him. As he does, a France player comes over to press Hiyori. On it, Hiyori easily dribbles around his mark, continuing his forward assault. Too slow, I'll cut past. Aim for a shot, Hermes and Gabon come over to press him. Hiyori hesitates. No, I don't have a course. Hiyori does a pass back to Karasu as the France players react. Another side pass? Merde. Hiyori thinks to himself. But this threw off their defensive line. Shoot now, Karasu. However, Karasu simply traps the ball. He thinks to himself, reflecting on Hiyori and his time in high school alongside Hiyori's growth in the NEL. Not me, dumbass. Why won't you shoot, you major sadist? I know your talent as a striker best of all, because we're on the same youth team. Your conflicted feelings about soccer, your resignation, and how much you changed here in BLUELOCK. I've been watching you all along, so I should know. Hiyori is shocked as Karasu sends another pass to him. He passed back to me? Karasu. Karasu continues. That's why I can take this chance on you. Because of your extraordinary shooting talent. All of a sudden, Rain and Isagi run alongside Hiyori, calling to him. Pass it! Hiyori! Karasu rushes in front of him, however. The idea came to me once I put everything into being second best. Shoot, damn it. Karasu then taps back into his true flow state, holding off Bats and Gabon, staring down at Hiyori. The path to victory lies in self-sacrifice. Aim for my head. Hiyori's ego flares. I'm trusting ya, extraordinary. Hiyori then takes a shot, ripping the ball like his alley cross as Karasu ducks his head at the last second, creating a shot course for Hiyori as his crow wings extend across the backs of the France players. Gabon freaks out. What? He lowered his head at the last second to create a tiny shot course? Hiyori's shot turns into an ice arrow, piercing France's net, scoring the first goal for Japan, bringing it back against France, as we see the score appear on the screen. Japan 1 to France 1. Charles comments, what? Who the hell said they couldn't make golazos without Yoichi Isagi? The crowd screams as the announcer begins to comment. Goal! 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 Hiyori jumps on Karasu's back as he extends his arms out, as calm as can be. The announcer continues as we get shots of the stadium roaring in applause. With Yo Hiyori and Tabito Karasu's trick shot, BLUELOCK has tied the score! Chigiri and Bachira rush over to celebrate as Isagi hunches over. Alright! Damn, Hiyori, Karasu. Isagi begins to think. Alright, we caught up. We have a chance now. However, Isagi is worried. But what Karasu just did looked like he'd totally given up on scoring his own goal. Is that really okay? Doesn't that go against everything BLUELOCK stands for? Ugo comes over to speak to Isagi. See? Even if it's not you, there's someone with the brains and talent to be second best. Not bad, BLUELOCK. This is the destructive power of utter suitability. Isagi gets annoyed as Ugo continues. Oh, and one more thing. If you also started acting like a second best up on the front line, BLUELOCK could hold its own against France. You hold the team's destiny in your hands, Yoichi Isagi. Isagi gets shook as someone grabs his head, shocking him out of it. Ignore him, Isagi. Our destiny is devouring each other to be the best. It's revealed to be Rin, who grabs Isagi's head, pulling his hair up, which has him shocked. Second best is so tepid. Isagi, though, thinks to himself. Which way is right? We cut to Henri and Ego, who are speaking on the current play. We did it, Ego. Karasu and Hiyori managed to create a new attack pattern. We still have a shot. However, Ego's words don't match her enthusiasm. No. We see Ego hunched over with a displeased expression on his face. I didn't expect this. I had no desire for this chemical reaction. We see Henri is confused as Rin walks away from Isagi, leaving him thinking about it again. What should I believe in? On the final page of the chapter, we see Isagi as a blacked out silhouette, as we see panels of Karasu, Hiyori, Rin, Ugo, and Ego. Isagi then asks, what is happening in Blue Lock? The closing tagline to the chapter says, even as Hiyori's equalizing goal explodes, Isagi feels a sense of wrongness about the nature of that attack. The chapter begins with Blue Lock celebrating Hiyori's goal as we see Chigiri jumping on Hiyori's back, with Bachata sliding in and Aru posing. The opening tagline to the chapter says, amidst the whirlpool of joy, Isagi feels a change. The chapter is titled Chapter 337, or the Blue. The announcer begins to comment on the goal. Blue Lock Japan has caught up. This white-hot match is just getting started, folks. While this is happening, Isagi begins to have an internal monologue about the goal. What is happening in Blue Lock? Where is this team trying to go? We see Isagi is on an isolated field as everyone celebrates in the background as he continues to internally monologue about the goal while also thinking of Ego. What should I believe in? Ego. As he thinks, Karasu grabs his attention. Hey, Isagi, come here. The two begin to spark up a dialogue. They're covering you too heavily, so the plans we practiced ain't working. So I'm gonna focus on helping to set up shots, like I just did. I'll figure out new ways to score goals without you. That's the only way we can beat France, right? Isagi responds hesitantly. Sure. But Isagi asks Karasu with a glow in his eyes. Are you okay with throwing away your life as a striker, Karasu? Huh? It ain't like I'm throwing it away. Karasu and Isagi continue their conversation. I know you've done the same thing before. You do stuff like temporarily assist to set up the team to win. Yeah, I have. I just did the same thing now. If you want to talk about the life as a striker, then what about Gagamaru playing goalie or the guys playing defense? They ain't strikers. Well, yeah, but still, something about your new attitude doesn't sit right. What the heck? Don't diss me if you can't even verbalize it. We see Karasu's aura flare as the crow feathers fall from above and the crow rests on his shoulder. Unlike what you're doing, at least I'm trying to change for Blue Lock's sake. Isagi is shocked, but catches it. Hold up, Karasu. That's what's been bugging me. Karasu doesn't understand, but Isagi keeps going. Huh? You just said you're doing it for Blue Lock's sake. Anything besides playing soccer for yourself isn't the way of the egoist. Karasu gets annoyed. All of us aiming to be the world's best striker. You deviated from that philosophy because of what Ugo said. Bachata and Shigiri overhear their conversation. What's going on? Isagi continues. And now you're prioritizing the team's victory as second best. That's not the Blue Lock way. Karasu finally responds to Isagi's statements. Then go on and score a goal, you trash. Isagi is shocked by Karasu's words. Huh? Since you ain't effective as a striker, I'm trying to change based on our opponent's opinion. What about it? Would it be the Blue Lock way to let France kick our asses just for Yoichi Isagi's sake? Karasu stares down at Isagi as he begins to waver mentally. Looks to me like you're the one spinning his wheels acting like number one and trying to ruin Blue Lock, you ordinary bastard. However, Isagi doesn't take that, getting right up in Karasu's face, screaming at him. I'm thinking about Blue Lock too. I'm working so hard, I've been racking my brain about what I need to do as the best in Blue Lock. For Blue Lock, Karasu checks him. Look, you just said it yourself. For Blue Lock. How are you any different from me? Isagi is shocked and doesn't know how to answer that. All of a sudden, Aiku comes over and calms them down. Okay, that's enough. Chill out, you two. You're both right. What if you try thinking like that? Everyone in Blue Lock comes over to listen to him. There's no denying that Karasu's method got results, and the egoistic philosophy Isagi's talking about is important too. So let's make use of both. We'll fight with all we've got, while finding a new shape for Blue Lock to win. How's that sound? Isagi hesitantly agrees. Okay. Karasu jumps in. Fine by me. In any case, it seems like it's time for Blue Lock to make a change. As he says this, we see Ego sitting there calmly.
We cut away from Blue Lock to see the reactions of the France team as Charles, Loki, and Ugo all comment. Dang, they caught up with us. So annoying. It's like, what the fuck? Well, I think this will be more fun than shutting them out. Yeah, this is good. I'll keep leading this field towards its destiny. Ugo taps the ball to the side to restart the play as the match continues. Loki picks up the ball as Rain rushes over. Just try it, you perfectionist freaks. I want a goal so badly I can't stand it. Loki smirks. Oh yeah? Same here. Rain and Loki begin to match up against each other as Karasu sits behind Rain for support. We cut to Isagi, who begins to reflect on everything as Rain and Loki continue to have their matchup. We've settled on our strategy for now, but we haven't solved the fundamental issue. That goal Karasu and Hiyori made will be hard to use now that France is ready for it. Its reproducibility is too low. Nothing will change unless I can make myself effective. But there's no way in hell that I'll live as second best. All of a sudden, Ugo appears behind Isagi, pressing him for a mark, as he whispers in his ear. Second best is just another kind of ego. Isagi is shocked as Ugo rests his chin on his shoulder. Being the best isn't the only way to live. On the final page of the chapter, Isagi swats Ugo away, as he leaves him with the final few words. So listen up, Yoichi Isagi. I'll tell you about my ego as second best. The closing tagline to the chapter says, the pride of a number 2 person, someone who adapts destiny and speaks the meaning and way of life of self. The chapter begins where the last one left off with Ugo speaking to Isagi. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Ugo speaks, the true essence of number 2, sending the meaning of this view or ego to the enemy. The chapter is titled Chapter 338, Double Jokers. Ugo speaks to Isagi. Listen up, Yoichi Isagi, and I'll tell you about my ego as second best. Loki matches up against Rain, passing the ball away from him. Ugo picks up the loose ball from the pass. I'll bet you think second best means someone who couldn't manage to become the best, right? Well, that's not it. Isagi stares at him in confusion. Ugo continues. You guys have just been brainwashed by that bowl-cut 4 eyes to believe that you have to be the best. Isagi gets annoyed as we see Ego sitting, staring at the game. Isagi snaps back to Ugo. Shut up already. I don't want to hear your biased opinions. Ugo continues. You're the biased one though. Yoichi Isagi, haven't you ever looked at others and felt that they were wasting their talent? Ugo dribbles around Isagi as he reflects on Bara from the first selection, Yukimiya from the Manshan game, and Hiyori from the Ubers game. Ugo continues. It's been like that for me, for as long as I can remember. We get a flashback to Ugo as a child where we see him surrounded by other children in a crowd and his adult self surrounded by gears. Ugo continues. Why is everyone so ignorant of themselves? They want to do things they can't and yearn for things outside their reach. It drives me crazy. When I see humans failing because their talents and self-image are unaligned, it makes me want to correct their mechanisms. I was naturally gifted with that sensitivity. I just can't help it. Ugo manages to pass the ball through Isagi's legs to Charles. He continues. That's why whenever I meet people, I tell them, things will go better if you do this. If you try this, you can beat him. If you do this, you'll be more popular. If you do this, you'll be more loved. Ugo runs alongside Isagi, as Isagi gets pissed with Ugo, continuing their dialogue. That's creepy as hell, you self-centered meddling jerk. Yes, precisely. I'm just doing what I want, so I don't mind if you hate me. I'm not doing it out of charity or spite. It's just that when my ideas cause someone to live more suitably, the world begins to turn anew. As Ugo breaks free from Isagi, Charles hits a pass back to him. Ugo traps the ball with his chest from Charles. When people meet me, their destinies change, and producing people like that is utterly fascinating. Isagi is shocked, reflecting on his conversation with Onazi. Is this guy actually kind of like me? Ugo continues. It makes life worth living. You know, Yoichi Isagi, I want to learn why I was born. Ugo breaks away from Isagi as Reo, Aiku, and Karasu all comment. Shit, he broke free. Watch out for a pass. I'm watching, dumbass.
Ugo continues his dialogue. My talent is suitable for changing others to make the world turn. So, I've never once wanted to be a striker. We get a shot of the box as we see Gagamaru ready at the net, Aiku marking Charles who has just entered the box, Karasu marking Loki just outside the box, and Ugo rushing in with the ball as Isagi races behind him. Ugo continues speaking to Isagi. But I want to win the World Cup as the second best and as a midfielder. Yoichi Isagi. Did you know the world record for the most times winning the World Cup? Just 3 times. Pele, the king of soccer, is the only one to hold that record. We see a picture of Pele like in the first chapter of the story. Loki rushes next to Karasu. Come on, Ugo. Charles breaks away from Aiku. Psych, it's going over here. Ugo then activates a special vision design, the same as Charles from the PXG game. However, this one appears like a gear. That's why I will win the World Cup 4 times. We see Ugo rev up for a pass, as his aura not only manifests around him as gears, but he also enters his true flow state as the gears begin to cover his body, and become one of humanity's legends. Ugo shoots, sending the ball flying through both Loki and Charles as Isagi is shocked. Karasu reacts to the play. What? All the pass courses his teammates created were just decoys? Gagamaru dives towards the ball. You're the one shooting? But it was too late. The ball flies past Gagamaru, scoring the second goal for France in this match. Isagi is left in awe. It's huge. That's Ugo's dream. It's not about being the best or second best. The crowd goes crazy for this goal. His dream is more grandiose than mine. He's sharper than I am. The ref blows the whistle as we see that halftime has been hit. And his ego is even bigger than mine. Ugo's true flow state envelops him even more, as we see these robotic organisms cover his entire body. Ugo then holds up a number 2. Do you still hate the idea of second best? On the final page of the chapter, we see Ego prepare for the second half. Get ready. You're starting in the second half, my double jokers. On the bottom of the page, we see both Bato and Shido preparing for the second half. The text on screen says, U20 World Cup Match 3, Japan versus France, first half, over. The closing tagline to the chapter says, the unpredictable and toxic duo will descend upon the battlefield, starting in the second half. The chapter begins with BLUELOCK inside their locker room as they prepare for the second half. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Japan has felt the true strength of the U20 World Cup title favorites. To determine their tactics for the second half, they exchange opinions. The chapter is titled Chapter 339, Worst Possible Situation. The text on screen reads, U20 World Cup Match 3, Japan versus France, first half, over. We get dialogue from Aiku, Bachira, and Reo about the game. I can see why France is number 1 in the world. That Ugo guy is nuts. They're only ahead by 1 though. If we fix our strategy in the second half, we can still win. But how do we do that? All our attack patterns that start with Isagi are dead in the water. Bachira and Reo continue to have a dialogue. But we built this team around Isagi, and that's why we're failing. Nah, we can make something work. At this rate, we're just gonna get our asses kicked and lose. While this is going on, Isagi sits in silence, listening to their discussion. All of a sudden, Karasu jumps in. Chill out, guys. We can make up new patterns, like Hiyori's goal. I'll be this team's second best instead of Isagi, so let's run with that strategy. As this happens, Ego and Henri walk in, and he is not happy. Watch what you say, Tabito Karasu. Are you trying to kill BLUELOCK? Isagi and Karasu get surprised by this. Ego continues. I applaud your quick-witted play change, but the problem is your mindset. Partway through the first half, it looked like you'd given up on your own goals. What was that about? Karasu responds. I thought that would be best for the team. Ego counters. And I thought I told you that those who fight for the team are worthless trash. Karasu just takes the insult. If every soccer player tried to live in line with their suitability, in the end, it would be nothing but a competition of physical abilities and tactics. France is a multi-ethnic country with a broadly welcoming culture. The variety of talents produced there leads to a diversity of soccer techniques and makes it easier for suitable talents for every position to be born. As Ego speaks, we see Aryu, Chigiri, Bachira, Corona, Henri, and Gagamaru all listening. He continues with a blue lock chibi diagram. So, if France assembles an outstanding team of players handpicked for their suitable talents, do you think Japan has any chance of winning even if they do the same? The answer is no. Telling people to live suitably or to be happy with your position in life is how the strong get the weak to stop thinking, so they can control their possibilities. We are weak. If we lived suitably, we could never change the world. That's why I told all of you to be strikers. This philosophy of going beyond suitability is the heart of Blue Lock. Imagine that you could live 100 times. How many of those times could you become the world's best striker? As he says this, Blue Lock stares in shock. If I were to make an incredibly optimistic and miraculously high evaluation, I'd say. Ego then mirrors Ugo, holding up a 1 as all of Blue Lock stares at him. One time. An egoist lives for that one chance that never would have happened if they known their place. Isagi hears this, shuddering, and his ego flares, as Karasu has a response. But you can't deny that our current approach ain't working. Ego grabs the iPad from Henri and continues. Right. If you want something new, first you need to let go of something old. Ego stares down at Blue Lock. We're dropping our Yoichi Isagi centered strategy. Here's the formation we'll use to fight back in the second half. Isagi, Rin, Karasu, and Hiyori all listen in. We cut away from the Blue Lock locker room to the France locker room, where we see the France coach named Rodin begin to speak to them. You guys are the strongest generation. You're God's once in a century chosen ones. He continues to speak as we see Loki, Charles, and Ugo all listen in. You won't just change France's history. This incredible collection of talent will change all of soccer forever. You're France's new Le Bleu. Let's go make history. More France players clap and celebrate his aura farming. We cut away from their discussion as Charles and Loki speak to each other before walking out onto the pitch. Hey, Charles, give me more line-breaking passes this half. If this ends without me scoring, the Earth will be sad, right? Oh, feeling frustrated, Loki? Okie dokie, I'll give you some nasty ones. Ugo then comes over and places his hand on both of their shoulders. It's okay, Loki. I doubt this match will end like this. It'll get messy. It seems Blue Lock has chosen that destiny. As he says this, we see some silhouettes of players standing out on the pitch. It's revealed that Shido, Baro, and Kunigami have been subbed on for a triple substitution, as we see them all aura farming, each with their own little dialogue. My cells are screaming. Time to hunt. Quit drooling, you beasts. The text on screen reads, U20 Japan member change. Looking at Blue Lock's new formation, Rain is the solo center forward with Baro and Shido on the wings respectively. Isagi has been dropped to the offensive midfielder position as Kunigami has joined Karasu as a defensive midfielder. Ryo has fallen back into a fullback position and Aryu has shifted over for a 2 main center back lineup. We see that Bachira, Chigiri, and Nico have all been subbed out as they all have their own little bits of dialogue. We've been dismissed. It's no use crying about it now. Give them hell, Kunigami. Isagi begins to internally reflect on this change. An all-out offensive formation. The strategy centered around me was obliterated. We see Isagi continue his internal dialogue as he is face-to-face with Ugo. There's someone clearly more talented and a bigger dreamer than me, standing right there. This is the worst possible situation. So then, why do I feel so excited? Surpass Ugo. The ball rests at the middle of the pitch. On the final page of the chapter, we see Isagi's ego flare as Ugo has activated his special vision ability. That's what. My ego is screaming. With a final shout, the announcers signal the restart of the game. It's time for the second half kickoff. The closing tagline to the chapter says, the more he's backed into a corner, the more Yoichi Isagi's blood boils. His glittering fighting spirit clashes with destiny. The chapter begins with a kickoff for Japan with a pass from Isagi to Karasu to start the game. The opening tagline to the chapter says, after halftime, what will be the tactics of both camps?
The chapter is titled Chapter 340, No Guard, Part 1. As the pass is made, the announcers add some commentary. The non-stop intensity of Japan versus France charges into the second half. Go. As Karasu receives the ball, he immediately sends it upfield towards Shido, who does a one-touch pass back towards Ryo. Ryo does another quick pass back to Karasu as each player dodges their marks. Karasu begins to speak as he receives the pass and begins to rush down the field, activating his metavision. This half, we're striking back. Charles, Loki, and Ugo all react to the current play. Interesting. They changed their entire strategy. Yeah, a complete change from before. Is a triangle passing pattern with Tabito Karasu as the crux. As this happens, we see Ryo, Karasu, and Shido all interlock passes with each other as they break down the field, and a giant crow aura manifests across the pitch. As Charles presses Shido, he passes over towards Hiyori. Die! Shido screams. Hiyori receives the ball and continues the play, activating his metavision. Let's move, Blue Lock. Karasu, Ryo, and Shido all rush towards the box as Charles and Renoir comment. What? They're all rushing in? So that's it. The crux isn't just Tabito Karasu. He and Yo Hiyori are using a double game maker system. Hiyori then whips across down the pitch towards Karasu, passing by one defender in the process. As the ball reaches Karasu, Hiyori begins to internally think. Karasu's bringing the ball up, and I'm changing the pace. As we're attacking up front, with our combined ideas, that leaves Isagi free behind us. Isagi slipped behind Karasu to receive the pass, with his metavision flaring. Nice skip, Karasu. As this happens, Loki rushes over to challenge Isagi. I expected as much. However, Isagi was ready for this. As Loki presses, Isagi does a quick side pass to Rin. How about this? Rin! Here comes a surprise combo. Rin and Isagi then perform a confirmed chemical reaction called the egoist 1-2 pass. Rin does a quick touch back to Isagi as he breaks past Loki off the ball. Too slow. You're still in range. Loki then godspeeds over to Isagi to challenge him directly. Isagi's puzzle pieces begin to break apart as his metavision flares again. Now, for one more surprise connection. Come on, hungry lion. On the final page of the chapter, we see Isagi pass the ball to the king of the pitch, Burū Rokku, whose lightning is flaring as he challenges two of France's defenders. Time to get nasty. The closing tagline to the chapter says, the starving beast, Burū, aims for his prey, the goal.
The chapter begins where the last one left off, with Burū challenging the two France defenders. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Burū Rokku, being the villainous brat that he is. The chapter is titled, Chapter 340, Part 2, No Guard. Burū uses his chop dribbles and breaks past two of the defenders with ease as he revs his leg up for a shot, and he begins to speak to himself. Isagi made a royal dribbling path for me, and I'll devour it in one shot. However, all of a sudden, as Burū swings his leg, Ugo appears and snatches the ball away from him. Uh-oh. Huh? Ugo begins to speak, trying to throw us off with a Tabito Karasu-centered frontal offensive, and Yoichi Isagi and his hand-selected collaborators coming up from behind. Talk about attack power. Ugo then activates his special vision ability as he begins to rev his leg and the Gears aura explode behind him. We'll give it a try too. As he does this, Loki and Charles begin to rush down the field as Ryo screams, Damn, it's a forward pass counter. Keep an eye on Loki and Charles. Ugo then whips across down the pitch, passing just by Ryo, with the ball landing at Leiden's feet. Da-dun, da-dun-dun. Karasu, who is marking Loki, is shocked as Isagi comments on the situation and Leiden continues. They're working up the side? You think Loki's our only striker? Leiden then rushes down the field, breaking past Isagi with a massive burst of speed. Isagi continues to internally monologue. Shit, they saw that we clustered our defense in the center around Loki and Charles, so he's racing up the side where we're short on players. Leiden smiles. Beat down time. We cut to the bench as Henri chimes in. No way. They instantly devised a counter strategy for our new tactic and switched to a laser-focused attack pattern? Ugo and Ego both continue, speaking together. If Blue Lock wants hyper offense, it seems they're going for hyper offense too. As Leiden challenges Aryu, we see this giant mechanical beast fighting Bado's lightning lion and Karasu's crow as they are surrounded by Isagi's puzzle pieces. Ego, Henri, Rodin, and Leiden all add comments. Looks like they want a no guard all out brawl. Incredible. So this is France, the world's #1. Impale them. Wabam! Leiden then whips across down the field, with the pass seeming like a shot as Gagamaru prepares for it. A shot-like pass? No. It's perfectly aimed to go in unless I touch it. I need to go for... All of a sudden, Loki then launches himself into the air to intercept the pass, smiling at Gagamaru with all the confidence in the world. They got me. On the final page of the chapter, Kunigami suddenly appears and intercepts the pass to Loki, knocking it away. If you want a brawl, then count me in. The closing tagline to the chapter says, "The hero always arrives late. Blue Lock Japan, time for the counterattack." The chapter begins with a flashback to Kunigami's training as he's boxing with a random trainer inside the Blue Lock project. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "Daily fierce advancement. His physical body is what will drive Kunigami to the top." The chapter is titled Chapter 341, Choice for the Future. We get a shot of Kunigami's letter that he received for his 2-week training. Rensuke Kunigami, the answer lies in battle. Become the ultimate physical combat warrior. As Kunigami is boxing, Ego begins to speak. The special training I gave him focused on honing the sense of spacing needed for combat sports, as well as building the sort of physique that will keep him on his feet in physical collisions. We see Ego sitting on the bench back at the Blue Lock vs. France game as he continues. Those are useful assets for a striker, of course, but they'll be weapons that make him excel in any position. Henri responds. So that's why you swapped in Kunigami as a defensive midfielder this half. We see the ball fly from Kunigami's clear over Camus, Shido, and Charles's head as we get a chart of Kunigami with the text reading defensive midfielder. Ego continues. Right. By using him at the same time as Ryusei Shido and Shoei Bado, we've made it easy to counterattack since we have so many players on offense. That's why, this match, Rensuke Kunigami will use his body as a shield to interrupt France's counters. He's our defensive tank. Kunigami lands on the ground following his clearance as the crowd roars in support. Whoa, Kunigami! Nice save, Burligami! The ball lands at Aryu's chest, who traps it while holding off Leiden. I'll keep it going. We get a shot of the field from above as the announcer adds some commentary. The tables have turned, folks. Blue Lock Japan is making its counterattack. Aryu quickly feeds the ball to Hiyori as Isagi begins an internal dialogue. Ego's plan is working. Karasu is still the center of our attacks. That'll let me focus on moving behind the main formation and striking the enemy's weak spots. This is the two-sided strategy Ego devised to let us strike back in the second half. We see Isagi designate these strategies for Blue Lock, with Karasu as the main core system and Isagi as the sub-core system for the shadow attack. Hiyori gets pressured by Bats, who passes the ball to Ryo in response. Run! Leave it to me. Leiden and Gabon add their thoughts on the current circumstance. This back and forth is rough. Stick on him. Isagi continues to internally monologue. We're keeping up with France better than the first half, and it's wearing on our opponents. But one thing is still nagging at me. As Ryo dribbles, he gets intercepted by Ugo as they begin to match up. Hello. You won't get away. You got good eyes, butterfly lashes. Isagi continues running alongside this matchup. I still can't visualize how to beat Ugo. If I became this team's second best and totally focused on passing, it would get easier to attack. But Isagi reflects on Ugo's words as well as Ego on the bench as his metavision flares with ambition. I just be doing what Ugo described and trying to be suitable for the sake of victory. And that's not the role Ego wants for me.
If I'm going to live as the world's best striker, I've got to find a new theory to beat Ugo with my own goals. As Isagi runs, Barū approaches next to him. You're not yourself, loser. I can't smell a goal from you. According to Ego's orders, the plan was for me to exploit your moves to score goals. But you're useless. In this match, you're not the king. Isagi is shocked at Barū's words as he continues. Barū? He can instinctively sense how weak my vision of the future is? Barū then rushes away from Isagi as his lightning flares. Time to find a new prey. Guess I'm on my own to find someone worth devouring. We cut to Karasu, whose crow aura is flaring across the field as we see Reo versus Ugo in their matchup. Isagi and I are alike. We have the same soccer IQ, and we came to Blue Lock with the same worries. Like him, I wanted to be a striker, but there was an uncomfortable gap between my dream and the roles I got stuck filling. We have a flashback to Karasu playing for Bambi Osaka, the same team as Hiyori in high school, as he continues. My desires don't match my capabilities. I know that all too well. I'm best at manipulating the ball in the midfield and setting up balanced attacks. I'm suited to be a midfielder. Even so, I couldn't give up on my dream of being a striker, which is why I fought so hard to stay in Blue Lock. Karasu reflects on Ego's words. Hiya, my lumps of talent. Karasu continues to reflect on Blue Lock's achievements, such as Isagi's celebration during the Japan U20 game and his final goal against PXG. But bit by bit, the gap between me and Isagi has grown. And before I knew it, Isagi was the striker in the spotlight. It pisses me off, but I got stuck in the shadows. I've been wondering, what does Isagi have that I don't? Even if I manage to hang on, when am I going to see the light of day? Karasu then thinks about Ego and Ugo as he activates his metavision. I'm grateful to Ego for bringing me to this stage, but do I need Ego's philosophy anymore? I can't help wondering, if you embrace your destiny as second best, Blue Lock can get stronger. That's why Ugo's words struck so deep and made sense to me. Karasu then rushes into the open, begging Reo for a pass. Over here, chameleon! This is Blue Lock's limit with Isagi as number 1. Reo responds, passing the ball back to Karasu. Thanks, Karasu. Karasu traps his pass. So if I'm second best, I can change Blue Lock. Ugo comments on Karasu's actions. You really are good, Tabito Karasu. Karasu uses metavision, continuing his dialogue. I don't think this method is the complete answer. But for now, it's a choice for the future, where I don't have to give up on my dream of being the world's best striker. We get dialogue from Aiku, Barū, and Hiyori. Nice change up. Pass, damn it. Let's go, Wandering Crow. Karasu then begins to tap into his true flow state again, continuing his dialogue. If I can create a goal here and now, I can beat Isagi. I'll turn it all around. Blue Lock is gonna be my team! Karasu then whips across while pressured by 2 players. The pass flies past Camus and Charles as Isagi adds dialogue. An impeccably timed forward pass? And it's going to... Karasu smirks, with his eyes in flow. Isagi, my secret weapon is him. The demon you can't handle. On the final page of the chapter, we see the ball has landed at the feet of Shido Ryusei. Shido smiles. My egoism is ready to burst. The closing tagline of the chapter says, the long-awaited time of liberation. Unleash your max desire. The chapter begins with this massive satanic aura flowing around Shido as he prepares to charge France's defense. The opening tagline to the chapter says, the unpredictable link from Karasu to Shido. The pent-up demon bears its fangs. The chapter is titled Chapter 342, Recapture. Shido begins to charge France as Isagi internally thinks. Karasu's main weapon is Shido? Shido smiles.
Time to blast out this goal load.
Charles races alongside Isagi as he smiles, reflecting on their time in the new Egoist League at PXG.
Shido is finally here. I played with him in the new Egoist League, so I know how he and Karasu make a killer duo.
Shido dribbles forward, getting pressed by two defenders. However, Shido suddenly breaks past them with a dribbling technique of his own. Karasu begins to internally monologue.
We've got to score before Ugo gets here. By my analysis, no matter where or when, Shido is strong and fearsome enough to be exactly who he is. To put it positively, he's a genius at expressing himself. But to put it negatively,
the satanic aura appears again as Shido sends a pass towards Hiyori. As Ugo runs alongside Rin and Shido smiles, Karasu continues to speak.
He indiscriminately releases energy to the extent that he ends up influencing those around him. That's why a pairing with Shido means being changed or opposing him. That's the only communication possible. He's a demon to test your ego against.
Isagi then begins to internally monologue about the current situation.
I see. Now that I think back, I never managed to have a chemical reaction with Shido. Is it because I adapt to my opponents too much? No. It must be because I devour them to score goals. But unlike me, Karasu keeps an effective distance from whoever he's working with, approaching and moving away as needed to either accept or reject their methods.
Isagi then reflects on a little chibi diagram of Karasu and Hiyori and Karasu and Shido as he continues. As this happens, Hiyori hits a pass towards someone.
He's an independent player with a strong sense of balance.
Karasu then traps the ball from Hiyori's pass as Isagi continues.
His special mindset that can resist Shido's influence is exactly what our team needs right now.
Karasu then begins to internally monologue himself.
Making sense of Shido's powerful drives and imagination to work with him is something only I can pull off, since I'm more cool-headed than the others. Though, it ain't like I love that part of me.
Karasu then looks over at Shido to see him breaking through France's defense off the ball. One defender starts panicking.
Damn, he's cutting behind us.
Karasu then sends a pass towards the box as Shido makes a run for it.
Having Shido as my pawn will bring out my regime change. Beat Isagi.
Shido smirks.
Now to smash it in. Piece of cake.
All of a sudden, Loki uses Godspeed and races to challenge Shido.
Oh, I know your bad news. I was your master after all.
This shocks both Karasu and Shido.
What? No way. He caught up?
Shido smiles though.
If it isn't Speed Demon Loki Nicho.
Shido starts laughing as he clashes with Loki as the ball begins to fall.
But it's still just a 50-50 dead heat. Whoever touches it first is the winner.
However, Shido's smile fades as he notices something. All of a sudden, Bato jumps into the air, intercepting the pass from Karasu, with his predator eye flaring and his lion aura devouring Karasu's crow. Bato begins to speak.
It's you, cellular explosion freak. You're replacing Isagi as BLUELOCK's new king.
Bato then hits a power shot around Loki and Shido as it flies towards the net. Isagi reflects on Bato as the ball flies past the keeper and into the net.
Bato hunted Shido?
Bato has now scored the equalizer against France as he jumps into the air in celebration, screaming in victory. The crowd roars as the announcers go crazy.
Shohei Bato with a super goal!
Aryu and Aiku rush up to celebrate with everyone, proud of their performance and their equalizer. The commentator continues. Stealing a pass to Ryusei Shido, he fires off a blistering shot to tie the game. Shohei Bato has thrown down the counterattack gauntlet. Shido then smirks at Bato as they have a small dialogue.
That was sick, but I'm still pissed, hyena. If you don't like it, then bite back, cell exploder.
Isagi begins to think.
He gave up on me as useless and switched to trying to devour Shido since the hottest part of the field is around Karasu. As the two jokers devour each other, and the one who tamed them both is the new ruler, Karasu.
Karasu then begins to speak.
Good. Keep it up. It's my turn in the spotlight.
Karasu, Shido, and Bato then stand together in front of the BLUELOCK logo as Karasu's crow aura begins to envelop it, as Isagi begins to internally think.
Is the team stronger than when I was number one? Am I losing my place here? BLUELOCK is falling into Karasu's hands.
We cut to the France side as Rodin, the French coach, comes over to speak to Loki and Ugo. Loki, Ugo, over here. If you lose here, do you really think you can win the World Cup? Ugo and Loki then start humorously beefing. No, I sure don't. Loki just can't score a suitable goal. Shut up. Ugo's passes just suck. Rodin then silences their squabbles. I'm changing our formation. We're making bolder attacks. Show off your gifts. Loki and Ugo then lock in. Yes, coach. No need to tell me. Roger. At the bottom of the page, the text reads, Vivian Ugo knows that being born in the same era and the same country and meeting Julian Loki was part of his destiny. On the final page of the chapter, we see the play restart with Loki passing the ball to Ugo, and on the bottom of the page, we see Ugo and Loki sitting together, segueing into a backstory. The closing tagline to the chapter says, two people who were meant to be drawn together. This encounter was inevitable, and everything follows the path of their compatibility. The chapter begins with the France national team during a training session 2 years ago from the current timeline as Ugo is going over tactics and formations. The opening tagline to the chapter says, the day his destiny changes, this man does not yet know of the dramatic encounter awaiting him. The chapter is titled Chapter 343, Vivian Ugo. Ugo begins to speak to his fellow teammates. If you were to slip behind their defense at a speed of 20 miles per hour, then, with a pass speed of at least 27 feet per second, you go like this, and this, and this. Do you understand? The two France players are confused. It's friggin' impossible. No way, man. Do you always think this hard about soccer while playing? Is this calculation or intuition? You're nuts, Ugo. Ugo responds as they engage in the dialogue. Huh? Isn't this normal for everyone? No way, you soccer freak. You're out there, man. Run through it again. Oh, you don't get it. The text at the bottom of the page reads, Vivian Ugo is destined. Ugo stares at a blank book as a vision of Noel Noah appears within its pages. The narrator says, he's seeking what would make him suitable to win the World Cup 4 times. Ugo then thinks, first, an environment, a coach, a team, and a trustworthy relationship where I can thrive as second best. Finally, I just need a world-class striker. Noel Noah is almost 30. Even if we won the World Cup for France, we'd only do it once or twice. We see the mechanical titan from the previous chapter appear within the pages of his book. I need a new number 1. The narrator says, Vivian Ugo proceeds undaunted. He still needs to refine the people he needs to achieve his dream. Ugo continues as he reflects on his teammates' plays and moments during a game. No, you're half a second too slow. You can't become the world's best like that. Do you understand? However, Ugo's teammate gets pissed off and grabs him by the jersey. I ain't your damn tool, got it? I don't give a shit about your ideas. I'm the striker here, you arrogant, manipulative bastard. Ugo then responds, coldly and rudely. Sorry, I overestimated you. You're a disposable middle-grade striker who's more suitable for being around 130th in the world. What? The narrator continues as his teammate goes to throw a punch. Vivian Ugo learns the creatures known as strikers are absolute egoists. However, Loki then rushes in and slaps the punch away, shocking Ugo and the teammate. You just lack the talent, that's all. Ugo is shocked as Loki adds another comment. Hey coach, can we change out all these people? The text at the bottom of the page reads, Vivian Ugo encounters an unknown life form. The coach introduces Loki to the France national team. Our new player is advancing from a lower league to join this team. This is Julian Loki. Loki bows and introduces himself. Please excuse my actions earlier. While I'm alive, I'm going to win the World Cup a few times. So please leave if you can't keep up. Let's have fun. The random players on the France team respond. That's not an apology. Is he for real? However, Ugo stares at Loki in awe. Who is this guy? The arrogance, the gallantry, the absurdity. Ugo's eyes narrow in on Loki as they take the appearance of metavision. This organism
is it born #1? Loki and Ugo then sit together and chat it up. The world sure is cruel. The talentless can never beat the talented, but our free society brutally spurs them on to try anyways. That's the harsh rule of the world. Yeah, at the end of the day, the talented and the talentless can never understand each other. Ugo continues as he balances the ball on his head. All I want to do is win the World Cup 4 times, though. Loki smirks and laughs. What? That's so fire. I bet you're dead serious about that, huh? Huh? Yeah, big time. I've never met anybody with a dream as adorably tyrannical as mine. Loki smiles at Ugo. We cut back to the France versus Japan game as Loki passes the ball to Ugo as the game restarts. Isagi begins to describe Loki and Ugo's actions. Loki's moving back and Ugo's going forward? Ugo then advances forward as Camus and Layden come to assist on the wings. Are we doing that, Ugo? Cross, breeze. Isagi is shocked as he continues. Both wings are closing in on the middle. What the hell is this unique playstyle? We see that Camus weaves in front of Ugo as Layden rushes in behind him as we get the aura manifestations of Layden and Camus. Camus's aura appears to be this weird cloth thing, whereas Layden appears to have the Nimbus cloud and the Tomoe symbols. Ugo then activates his special vision ability in both eyes now as he begins to dribble down the field, extorting the passing options as bait. Beep, beep, beep. Shortcut found. Loophole dribble. Reo, Karasu, and Kunigami all add dialogue. What? The other pass courses were decoys? He's going on his own. Nah, there's still a pass coming. Keep an eye on the wings. All we gotta do is crush the guy calling the shots. Kunigami then rushes in to challenge Ugo as Ugo holds him off. It's destined. All of a sudden, Loki rushes behind Ugo. Preparations complete. Kunigami thinks to himself. Loki from behind? Shit. Is this what they were after? They got us clustered in the midfield so those two could strike from behind. Ugo then whips a cross down the field as Loki races after it with his godspeed, with a technique called warp synchronicity. Zoom. As Loki breaks past Auryu, Aiku appears to challenge Loki. No, I can just make it. I just need to tackle him, even if it means getting a foul. However, Loki then begins to accelerate even faster. Huh? He's speeding up without looking at the pass. Ugo then begins to think to himself. Running at 23 miles per hour, with a backspin pass at 28 feet per second. That's the suitability to be the world's best. As Loki accelerates beyond the pass, the narrator says, Vivian Ugo knows the combination of his talent with Julian Loki's is the sort of rarity that comes once in 50 years. As Loki approaches Gagamaru, he reveals that he is a user of Predator Eye, activating it in preparation as Gagamaru begins to speak. Pinpoint pass to a spot nobody could even reach, even if they saw it, as Loki runs in tandem at his maximum speed for a joint finisher. The best and second best. I know what they're doing, but still can't stop them. This is the pure violence of talent. Loki strikes the ball as it flies towards the net and past Gagamaru, scoring the 3rd goal for France against Japan, sending them into the lead. We see Ugo's eye as the narrator says, Thus, Vivian Ugo dreams of changing soccer history and creating a legend. On the final page of the chapter, we see Loki celebrate his goal by jumping into the air and shouting in victory as Isagi and Ugo stare in awe. Ugo ends the chapter with a single word. Good. The closing tagline to the chapter says, This is the pinnacle, Julian Loki. It is the talent of aptitude that truly commands this world. The chapter begins with the commentators screaming after Loki's goal as the stadium roars in celebration. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Godspeed, the summit explosion. A strike that breaks the balance pierces through the battlefield. The chapter is titled Chapter 344, Rebel. As the stadium cheers for Loki, the announcers begin to speak. Goal! France retakes the lead. What a golazo! We're witnessing a supernatural phenomenon. Divine sprinter Julian Loki! Loki then crosses his arms just like his celebration against England, except this time,
He isn't smiling and his aura is overflowing. The score on page reads, Japan versus France, 2-3. As Ugo and Loki high-five, we get dialogue from Aiku, Gagamaru, Ryo, and Karasu on the current situation. Are you kidding me? How are we supposed to stop that? Must be a bug. He's a human cheat code. We finally caught up, and he slapped us away in an instant. What the hell is with those two? Are we fighting against freaking aliens? We see the clock for the game sitting with 15 minutes remaining in the match as Ego decides to act. Time for a change. Shake things up, Eto Otoya. Otoya is now being subbed into the match, swapping in for Ryo. Okay, I'll hit him with my aura. Go get him, 15 more minutes. As this change happens, Isagi begins to think to himself. Otoya's swapping in here? Karasu and Otoya begin to speak as Isagi continues. Ego's intent is clear. Otoya and Karasu have tons of combo patterns, which means he's signaling the team to switch to these Karasu-centric tactics. Isagi reflects on the other blue lockers such as Hiyori, Baro, Shido, and Aryu. Everyone here understands that we're on track to lose if we keep this up. So even if our defense suffers a bit, our only shot at victory is to double down on offense. That also means he doesn't expect me to score any goals. Isagi begins to panic. No, it's not just me, it's Rain too. Right now, both of us are excluded from the Karasu system to turn this around. Damn it. The puzzle pieces of the France game begin to dissolve around Isagi as he continues to think. This is totally Karasu's team now. Well, I haven't been able to do shit. What can Rain and I do? Has Ego abandoned me? I'm not number one. I can't see a way to win. Loki and Ugo are on a whole other level. But Isagi's heart begins to beat within his chest. Even though things are so dire, why am I still so damn excited? Isagi then grabs his chest as Ego aura appears to flow from it. Am I so freaked out that I'm going crazy? No. I felt this way since the start of the second half. Ever since I realized how incredible Ugo is, my blood has been boiling and my mind is racing. Isagi then reflects on Ugo, Kira, Nico, Rin, Nagi, and Kaiser. I felt this excitement lots of times before. It's the feeling of finding someone who I want to defeat. Isagi then comes to a realization, thinking about moments he surpassed each of those players. Whoa, is that it? Whenever I've done something that surpassed my abilities, it was when there was a clear number one I wanted to surpass. But after the New Egoist League, when I ended up as number one, I've been fighting to keep that title. Isagi then smiles. Of course that's unsuitable. My talents and mindset aren't suited for being number one, and we ended up in this mess because I was trying to force myself anyway. Isagi looks at Karasu as his heart continues to beat faster. Ugo's theory is 99% correct. But for that last 1%, Ugo has misunderstood my suitability. Isagi then locks back in. My ego. What gets me fired up? Ego chimes in. Don't waver, BLUELOCK. Live for your own goals until the very end. Karasu then restarts the game, sending the ball to the left. Rin, Shido, and Baro all begin to rush forward. Hiyori picks up the ball from Karasu. This is making me tingly. Don't miss it, Karasu. Hiyori then dribbles around Camus, sending the ball back to Karasu. Right back at you, extraordinary. However, Bats rushes in and charges Karasu. You're the crux. If I crush you, we win. Karasu smiles. Sorry, but I'm just an afterimage. Go on, Shadow Clone. Karasu then feeds the ball to Otoya, whose Ninja Star aura is flaring. Slipping through, baby. Otoya then dribbles around Gabon, freaking the defender out. Whoa, for real? Watch out for a cross. Otoya continues to dribble forward as another France defender comes in to press him. We get dialogue from Baro, Rin, and Shido. Pass it. Come on. Here it comes. However, Karasu has a different order. No. Shoot. Otoya obliges. However, as he shoots, Loki godspeeds in and blocks the shot, shocking Otoya. What? So fast. Loki responds. Seems like you're Tabito Karasu's auxiliary shadow striker. You're a pain, but if I can see you, I can stop you. Karasu gets pissed as Ugo and Hiyori chime in. Nice one. Second ball. Crap. Ugo's coming back. Ugo then begins to rush after the loose ball. However, after so long, Isagi appears donning his Omnivision state, the white hair and glowing kit flaring as he intercepts the loose ball. This was destined, you consultant bastard. Ugo stares in awe at Isagi. Yoichi Isagi. Isagi stares back at Ugo with his Metavision eye expanding out across his face. I'm not number one, but I'm not just second best either. On the final page of the chapter, Isagi's Omnivision form has been completed, with his puzzle pieces expanding across his face as he begins to charge towards France's goal. I can only shine when I'm devouring the best. I'm a rebel. Utter suitability. The closing tagline to the chapter says, "This is Isagi's way of life. This heat is the proof of his rebellion." The chapter begins as Isagi and Ugo begin to match up against each other. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "Dyed in the color of rebellion, Isagi stands in Ugo's way." The chapter is titled Chapter 345, True Ending. Ugo stares at Isagi. Yoichi Isagi. His expression changed. I can sense an immeasurable swell of concentration from him. Isagi stares up at Ugo as his eyes pierce down upon him as Ugo continues to think to himself. And wait, how did he manage to intercept the ball just now? Did he determine our attack wouldn't work and try to get the second ball? In any case, he's too far to shoot. Will he dribble it up himself? Or will he try to make a forward pass to one of those three on the front line? He thinks about possible passing options such as Shido, Rin, and Baro. Ugo decides to instead challenge Isagi directly as Isagi rushes forward. Bring it, Yoichi Isagi. Which destiny will you choose? However, Isagi decides to pass out towards his left, surprising Ugo. To the side? Karasu picks up the pass, who is equally surprised. Huh? Isagi? However, Isagi simply stares at him with his metavision. Come on, fellow second best. We get dialogue from Gagamaru, Aiku, and Hiyori. Huh? Is he for real? They're cooperating now? Is he planning to join the Karasu-centric system? Isagi begins to rush down the field as he now creates a crow from his puzzle pieces, which flies alongside him. Karasu smiles. Huh. The Demon King came down to me. Guess you can be cute when you want. Let's go, extraordinary second best. Karasu and Isagi exchange quick 1-2 passes to break through France's defensive line. We get reactions from Charles, Layden, and Gabon. What? A 1-2 pass? Hold up, what's going on? Ad-lib a defense. Watch out, they're trying to charge up the center. We cut away from the play as we see Rin standing alone as his eye begins to swirl, entering destroyer mode. Isagi. He decided cooperating with me wasn't working, so he switched over to Karasu? How dare you try to cut me? We see the clock has reached full time as 2 additional minutes have been added. We cut to the bench as Chigiri and Bachira throw in some dialogue. Get up there, guys! It's our last chance to score! As Karasu rushes forward, Atoya dives into the box and the announcer begins to speak. Only 2 minutes of added additional time left on the clock. Can France's Kings run out the clock, or will the Blue Lock Japan challengers catch up? Ugo races alongside Isagi, speaking to him. I've been waiting for this, Yoichi Isagi. You chose your destiny to be your team's dedicated second best. Do you understand now why I've tried so hard to guide you and the Japanese team to your true suitability? My dream is to win the World Cup 4 times. To that end, France needs to fight against strong rivals to keep leveling up. We see Ugo envision these gears connected together. In other words, we need the world soccer players to follow their destinies. Ugo then cloaks himself in his true flow state. You passed, Japan. Now, let's reach our true ending in this showdown between teams of perfect suitability. However, Isagi stays silent as his metavision flares, staring at him. Ugo breaks off from Isagi and rushes Karasu as Karasu feeds a pass towards Hiyori. Hiyori quickly passes back to Isagi, who does a quick redirect pass towards Atoya.
Okay. Atoya then feeds the ball back to Karasu on the right as he whips across towards Isagi, who then directly feeds the ball back to Karasu, breaking through more of France's defense. Karasu extends a hand as he dribbles around Camus, with Hiyori beginning an internal monologue. Incredible. Just by Isagi coordinating equally with Karasu, Blue Lock is entering a new dimension. Karasu stares at Hiyori. Here it comes, extraordinary. Karasu then feeds a back heel pass towards Hiyori as he twists his body, setting up a shot course while blocking Choppa and Bats. Switching over now? The goal is 28 yards away. I can shoot! Is this a chance to make the same shot as before? Hiyori and Karasu view over the field with metavision as he and Karasu smile at each other. No, it's an even better chance. I can pass to Shido too, or Bado. There are so many scoring possibilities. Karasu created this optimal situation. My best option is now. Choose. All of a sudden, Ugo rushes in to mark Bado. Don't think about it. I'll crush Bado. On the flip side, Charles appears to mark Shido. Okay, I'll take Shido. As this happens, Loki begins to rush in, shocking Hiyori. Right, you may have more options, but in the end, you're nothing but uncoordinated egotistical rabble. Loki godspeeds over towards Hiyori. If we keep you from making individual goals, you're utterly screwed. Karasu and Hiyori both react. What? No way. With Loki, Ugo, and Charles' individual abilities, one snap judgment was enough to coordinate to shut us down? What level are these guys on? Hiyori prepares as he begins to think. All I can do now is shoot. No, they're ready for a shot like before, so my course is too narrow. Shit! Loki appears, godspeeding in, now truly in flow. I took too long to decide. Game over. However, hope is not lost as on the final page of the chapter, Yoichi Isagi appears, running alongside Hiyori in his true flow state. Hiyori! Pass it, you major sadist! Hiyori is shocked. Isagi? However, Ugo hasn't taken his eye off of him as we see his special eye at the bottom of the page, staring in wait. The closing tagline to the chapter says, "A woven light of hope. This fate is unpredictable." The chapter begins with Isagi rushing down the field, shocking Bado, Shido, and Karasu. The opening tagline to the chapter says, "A new option appeared out of nowhere. The foreign element known as Isagi disturbs the fate of the battlefield." The chapter is titled Chapter 346, Full Bet Part 1. Shido, Bado, and Karasu all react to Isagi's forward rush. Huh? Loser? For real? Extraordinary. Hiyori gets pressed by Loki as he begins to internally think as Loki rushes him. If I'm just gonna get crushed by Loki, then take it, egoist! Hiyori passes out to the left, getting past Loki as Isagi rushes forward to receive the pass. Nice one, buddy. As Isagi rushes towards the box, we see Charles and Layden marking Shido, whereas Hermes is marking Bado. Renoir begins to speak to himself. Shit, that perfect pass opened a shot course. Yoichi Isagi, he's coming. Isagi's omnivision flares as he readies himself for Hiyori's pass. However, all of a sudden, Ugo appears in front of Isagi, preparing to stop him. You used everything, huh? Even joining the Tabito Karasu system was just to outwit everyone here and score your own goal. Isagi is shocked. Or is it that you're going to make a pass for your team and lead them to an unimaginable goal as second best? Ugo rushes Isagi as the ground has converted to his gear aura, and Ugo has his gear aura on him flaring. Show me, Yoichi Isagi, that you've chosen a suitable destiny. Isagi responds to Ugo's request. It's neither of those, dumbass. Ugo is shocked as Isagi quickly spins, fielding the ball from Ugo with his body. What I wanted was to crush you in a battle of luck. The luck battle piece descends from above as Ugo reacts to Isagi. Huh? He's turning around now? On the final page of the chapter, we see the ball slowly approach Isagi as Ugo realizes what Isagi has done. What is he thinking? Could it be? No, there's no question. He managed to set up the same reverse shot he made against Nigeria? Ugo reflects on Isagi's Nigeria goal as Isagi continues to taunt Ugo. Didn't you say that Blue Lock has made it this far on my 1% of luck? Ugo is shocked. He got me. From that position, the closing tagline to the chapter says, finally, facing off, one-on-one. What is Isagi's shocking aim against Ugo? Blue Lock Chapter 346 Part 2 has finally released its official chapter with the match of Blue Lock versus France currently underway. Isagi has challenged Ugo to a battle of luck, but what will go down in those final few moments as that pass reaches Isagi's feet? Well, in today's video, we'll be going through the events of the latest chapter, being Chapter 346 Part 2, and I'll be giving you my thoughts and predictions as how the events of this chapter can impact the future of the story. Now, unlike many leaked videos, this video will only contain high-quality images and official translations, that way you can enjoy the Blue Lock story in its truest and most complete form. And please remember that we only had 12 pages for this chapter because it is the second half of last week, so if it is shorter, that's why. But without further ado, let's just jump right into that chapter. The chapter begins with the ball flying towards Isagi as the luck battle between Ugo and Isagi continues. The opening tagline to the chapter says, Isagi versus Ugo. The fate of the final showdown is... The chapter is titled Chapter 346 Part 2, Full Bet Part 2. Ugo begins to internally monologue as the ball flies towards Isagi. I don't know if he'll trap and shoot right or left. It's a perfect 50-50 gamble duel. Isagi begins to speak to Ugo. You keep talking about suitable destiny, but luck has nothing to do with suitability or talent. The ball slowly approaches Isagi as it rides against the ground. I'm making a full bet on my ego and destiny as the guy who devours the best. And right now, that's you! Isagi's metavision flares as Ugo, Shido, Baro, and Karasu all react. Yikes. This is Yoichi Isagi. Haha! He's nuts. Ugo then responds to Isagi, activating his vision ability. Okay. The aura manifestations of puzzle pieces and gears begin to explode around Isagi and Ugo as Ugo continues to speak. I respect that rebellious spirit. I accept your duel of luck. Ugo then begins to internally think about Isagi's next move as Isagi taps back into his white-haired form. If I wait until he traps it to react, I'll be too late. Tricks or cleverness won't work now. Right or left. It's a total gamble of destiny. The luck puzzle piece clicks against the ground as Ugo and Isagi, both in their true flow states, rush towards the play as the ball slowly approaches Isagi's foot. However, at the last second, Ugo darts towards the left as Isagi tips the ball up with his right foot, turning right as the ball flies towards the net. Ugo reacts, shocked. Left? I was wrong? Isagi begins to rotate, setting up a shot with his left foot. I win, Ugo. Bow to my luck. Ugo begins to internally panic. My destiny lost? However, at the last second, Rain appears with his destroyer aura flaring and his tongue hanging out. Thought you could escape, Isagi? You don't get to leave me behind. Isagi and Ugo are both shocked by this. Huh? Rain? Rain activates his predator eye as his eyes narrow in on the ball. I'll obliterate you. On the final page of the chapter, Isagi reacts to Rain's appearance. Shut it, you freak. This is my goal. Rain and Isagi both collide with the ball at the same time, striking it as Renoir is frozen in the net. The closing tagline to the chapter says, Destiny has drawn them together, the ultimate arch rivals of Blue Lock. In whose hands will the final goal fall? The chapter begins with Isagi in his Omnivision state and Rain in his Destroyer mode approaching the ball, right where the last chapter ended. Karasu is marking Loki, and Baro is seen as Ugo is defeated. The opening tagline to the chapter says, France versus Japan, last play. The fate to decide victory falls to. Rain and Isagi both make contact with the ball at the same time as this massive impact explosion occurs. The chapter is titled Chapter 347,
destiny. The shot flies past Baro and Shido, who are in awe, as Renoir dives towards the shot. However, the shot flies past his hand, but it doesn't score, as the ball smacks the crossbar, and Isagi and Rin are knocked out of their true flow states. They stare in disappointment. The ball flies through the air, as Baro, Shido, and Karasu all stare in awe. However, one person begins to move, being Loki, who dashes forward towards the loose ball. Loki blitzes past Kunigami, who attempts to jump for it, and Atoya attempts to challenge Loki. Loki taps back into flow. Bye-bye, Blue Lock. Loki breaks past Atoya using God Warp, as Isagi begins to internally think. Shit! I drew Ugo into a battle of luck, and I beat him one-on-one. Ugo begins to rush towards Blue Lock's goal, following Loki, as Isagi continues. And yet, Rin showed up at the last second and messed up my shot's impact. If Rin hadn't been there, it would have been my goal. Rin scoffs at the current play. Isagi then reflects on Ego's words. You're all strikers. Keep trying for your own goals until the very last second. If Rin hadn't been there... Huh? We see Loki jump over Aiku as Isagi continues. But according to that philosophy, Rin was correct in trying to score a goal. But if that ends up being why we lose, then Ego's theory and Blue Lock itself failed? Loki then strikes the ball with a direct shot, as Charles, Aryu, and Shido could not keep up. The ball flies past Gagamaru as Loki has scored his second goal for France, bringing the score 4-2 in France's favor. The announcers and the stadium roar in applause as the text on screen reads, Japan 2 to France 4. The announcer says, Goal! Julian Loki broke past 6 players in a mega counter to score a 4th point for France's Kings. The announcer continues as the ref calls full time on the play, and the Japanese fans are disappointed in Isagi and Rin's actions. I don't believe it! And now, that was the pitiless game-ending whistle, surpassing all of Blue Lock strikers. Is there anyone closer to being the world's best than Loki the Prodigy? We see the Blue Lockers panting from exhaustion as Henri stares, disappointed, and Ego sits quietly. With a score of 2-4 in Japan versus France, Blue Lock Japan has lost! Loki then yawns before speaking to Blue Lock. Boring. Glad that's over. Guess the popular Blue Lock wasn't all it's cracked up to be. Well, I guess it did get a little tingly. Ugo then begins to speak. Yeah, as a team full of strikers, they refuted their own philosophy and failed. Ugo then stares at Blue Lock, seeing Baro and Aiku sitting next to each other as Kunigami and Hyori rest. A group of egoists whose destiny is to never reach the World Cup, and more suitable to scatter to the winds with their objective unfulfilled. So long, Blue Lock. You were cogs in my destiny, and we won't meet again. However, somebody chimes up. So long, my ass. Just as Ugo walks away, Isagi stops him. My luck obliterated your precious theory, and you know it too. It wasn't just Blue Lock that failed. Your suitable destiny theory is full of shit too. But you talk about humanity's legends or winning the World Cup 4 times? Huh? Isagi then holds up a number 2. Don't run from your destiny. You lost to me, you second best bastard. On the final page of the chapter, Ugo holds up the number 2 as a peace sign, smiling, saying goodbye to Blue Lock. You're a real pain. Until next time, egoist. The text on screen reads, U20 World Cup Group League Match 3, Japan versus France. France wins, 2-4. The closing tagline to the chapter says, the battle was fated, yet victory and defeat were not decided at once, and the rivalry between the two still remains unresolved. And that was the full game of Japan versus France. Now, while many of you probably did not expect the France game to go this way, I do hope you guys still enjoyed it and will enjoy the ability to watch it from start to finish officially. Let me know your overall thoughts on the France game now that you can read it from start to finish, because I know your opinions change week by week, but honestly, being able to read them all in bulk is really enjoyable. The only thing I have left to say to y'all is that I hope you guys did enjoy this video, will continue to enjoy it in the future, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.